You're live.
Hi! We finally made it.
Yeah, sorry for being late.
What was the issue? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Something technical.
Yeah,
anyway, we are Nick and Nat from Jurassic Vans. We build and hire out the best camper vans, personal opinion.
Personal opinion, subjective.
But we've got a lot of 5-star reviews on Google that also prove that. Anyway, today we are talking about camper van layouts. We're about to today, and if you're watching us live, please drop questions on the video live. We've also got a few that we're going to go through that people have asked us from Instagram as well. Before we start on the main topic though, we're going to talk about our show, which is on the... Can you remember the date?
No, sometime
Saturday, the 8th of January 2022. Location is in Bournemouth. All 4 of our vans are going to be there. We're going to be there. We're going to be giving talks about specific things about camper van build. We're also going to show our vans. We're going to do live question and answer sessions.
There's going to be food, beer, non-beery stuff. Quiet. There's going to be a quiet.
Vegan food for everyone doing Veganuary.
Food, coffee, like local coffee, local everything.
It's going to be great.
Big old party in the middle of town. It's super accessible.
Yeah. So come and see us. Tickets, link in the bio. So the first thing we're going to go through is different ways to plan your layout. Now I'm going to go through the way that I like to plan my layout, and then we're going to talk about the way that you like to plan it.
Which is quite similar because that's how we met basically.
Yeah, but not too similar. So the way I like to plan camper van layout, which I think is one of the fundamental things, because if you don't get this right, you're going to be building version 1 and version 2 whilst you're still in the build process, and you don't want to be chopping and changing things. You want to be confident with your build. So the way I like to look at it is based purely on time. How much time are you going to be spent eating, socializing, sleeping, cooking, living, washing?
Or just hermiting away. You might just want to use your van as a nice little...
Some people might want to stay in the van for a long time, yeah. So I like to think of most of my time, I'm either going to be in bed or cooking. So I devote the most amount of space to those areas. So I have big, comfy beds that don't have restrictions on height and feel coffin-like, because I like to sit up in my bed and drink a cup of tea and drink a cup of coffee in the morning.
I'm somewhat there. I like a good kitchen. Don't want to be squidged around. Even though my latest fan is a bit squishy in the kitchen area, it is quite a large area. But again, my beds, big beds. I'm not too worried about coffins, though, because I like to crawl in, get snug, get some munchies. And I also don't like it being sat on. Just...
Oh, your bed, yeah.
I clean.
You like to have a separate socialising area to your bed. I hate it when
because we like to socialise as well. And if you've got a lot of people in your van, the bed gets dirty. It's grit everywhere. It's really in the fibres.
We wish you could come too as well. Thank you for commenting that. We will be doing more shows throughout the year, so please join us at that. In terms of it also depends on the weather and the layout. Of like the area that you're in. So if you're in a particularly hot country, you might want to spend a lot of your time, or be able to spend a lot of your time, cooking outdoors. Whereas if you're cooking inside, you need to also think about ventilation and that sort of stuff, so that you can comfortably cook, eat, socialise and sleep in the same area and not make it smell of bacon or eggs or anything.
I think the luxury of a hot country where you can just pull the kitchen outside opens up the van massively. Like cooking inside isn't great because of condensation, dirt, all this, but...
How do you like to do the layout? So mine is basically on time. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. I split it into 24 hours. What am I going to be doing in my van where I'm going to be spending most of my time? So 8 out of those 24 hours I'm going to be spending sleeping. I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time driving and cooking.
Well, yeah, I think so. Like, we like to travel a lot anyway, and I like to do road trips. I don't mind driving long distances. But yeah, I think my priorities are big old bed, which I don't have to make every evening. That is, if I have to pull out of bed, it really gets tiring really quickly. Even though I'm kind of a weekend vanner now, and not really long journey things, I'm still keen just for a nice fluffy bed and just a nice big kitchen. And now a big fridge. I can't do the little fridges anymore. I've evolved.
So how do you design your vans?
I like to shove as much as possible, and because I've got kind of an engineering background, they try and get them as close as possible, really push materials to the limits and see what technology and stuff I can get in there. Just to try and get as much as most in there while not banging my head on too many things. Like if I can get it to an inch of my head or space, then I'm happy.
I think as well in vans, what's really important is to have open space. So space where you're not feeling like you're overwhelmed. And so the space can be adaptable too as well.
Yeah,
So,
you like Spike's layout is just big old bed and then everything's airy.
absolutely, yeah.
The non-coffin experience.
Yeah, and also so you can open the back doors and have a beautiful view outwards as well. I really like that in a van. One of our vans doesn't have that, and I think it's nice to be able to have that.
It's quite dark in there.
Yeah, so which is why we love our van Otto so much, our third van, because it's got two huge beds, huge socialising area, huge kitchen, and it's just got a lot of clever workings out with that.
No shower yet though. On the back, it's got
On
a
the
shower,
back.
but internally.
We're going to move on to talking about, talking about where you spend most of your time. I imagine most people are going to spend most of their time in bed. So with that becomes a massive, huge area that's being taken up. And there's a debate on fixed bed, semi-fixed bed, and fold-away beds. Your thoughts on those, please?
Well, I mean, the fold-away bed is good. If you've got a small van, like when I mean small, I mean one of these, not Vitos. What's the one that Elvis has got? The Fiat box. Is it Peugeot Boxer, Fiat, Ducati, and there's a third one which is based on the same family. Renault something. Master, that's the one. Also now, with that van, I get people having fold-away beds because there really isn't any headroom. But also if they want to get like a bike in there and it's more of a weekend van, then absolutely a folding bed. There's no point having a fixed bed in there because 100% of the van is going to be bed otherwise. If you do have the luxury of like a medium wheelbase Sprinter, then absolutely you don't need a folding bed and you can sort of squish it somewhere while still having a living space. But you need to be a bit more clever. Well, not clever, sorry. You need to be a bit more thoughtful on how you're going to get things to interact with one another.
We really like a semi-fixed bed, and I don't know if that's something that we've coined, but I'm going to take it that
Semi-fixed.
Which means that the bed is permanently made, so you don't have to pack the bed away in terms of fold it out before you go to bed. You just have to fold something or move something up so that your bed is fully made, but it's just moved out of the way in a particular way.
Yeah, just so it's not being used. When it's not being used, it's not taking up the space it needs. Without folding.
And then when it also comes to your van, you've got to think about something called dead space, which is something that I'm going to say we've coined. Now, dead space is somewhere that you can't use because of some sort of layout that's pushed things in the way. So, for example...
I like to sort of kind of like so things like the kitchen corner unit, which you had a really great idea. We had a corner kitchen just to increase the kitchen, I guess, cutting surface area. And I was making some weird contraption to get into the corner unit. And the last minute, Nick came in with the idea. I was like, why don't we put the water tank there? Like, that is dead space. You can't really access it nicely. You can probably shove some pots and pans in there.
So in that corner space, where my hand is here, underneath that, if you're looking down, that's where we put our huge water storage. 70-litre water tank. And it's completely, you don't know it's there. It's nice and hidden. I would consider that very useful dead space. In whatever design, there is always going to be a compromise. Self-built campervan group is brilliant, but you have so many people's opinions, and the best van design layout for me would be completely different from the best van design layout from Matt. So you've got to really be confident in what it is you actually want from a van, and not be influenced by other people's opinion of what is important. Because that's what makes your van unique.
But you will go through some changes as you build. You'll put something in like, oh, actually, maybe if I move this over an inch, I can get this in or whatever. But it sort of helps to know the sort of ground points, what you want. Like, oh, I want a shower. So showers come in this size. I want a bed. Beds come in this size. And then see if they sort of line up. And if they don't, then you need to do a compromise on one or the other. Maybe just know your building blocks before.
So spend a good amount of time, like spend 3, 4, 5 evenings specifically planning it out, version 1, ripping it up and starting again. There's a couple of really good ways to do this. You can get your van into a situation where you've boarded the bottom, and we're going to talk about insulation next week. And me as a visual person, I really like to go and sit in the van and tape it out just with masking tape or painter's tape, and actually tape out where things are going to be so that you know what standing room you've got. That's really good from a 2D perspective. But a really good app, which there is a link to in this description, is called Magic Plan. And it's basically designed for architects and home builders, property people, so that they can model a room. Now, in that app, it's completely free. You can open it up and you can put in your specific van measurements, And they've also got things in there like standard size double beds, so you can put those items in your van.
You get a sense of scale, basically, which is what you don't get from a bit of paper. And if you're thinking about it in your head, which I've come across this problem before, and I'm sure a lot of other people have. People are like, oh, put a bed here, put a bed here, put this kitchen here, and then you sort of get it all in. You realise that all your proportions are off, and you've got no standing space, or your kitchen sink is like this big, and so the magic plan, I think, is
so
really good.
That's brilliant because it shows you 2D, but it will also show you 3D, which is really important when you're planning a camper van, because you can't just think about the 2D. You've got to think about storage space above, storage space underneath, hinges, pull-out things.
What you're going to bang your head on. Head space.
Which takes me nicely onto our recommendation for the week is a company called Contour Campers. They're a small business that started up recently. We met them at the International Campervan show this year. Really lovely couple that live in Yorkshire, and they do specifically CNC design cut, birchwood ply furniture. Really lightweight, really strong, beautiful. Their link is in our profile. If you don't want to build your own furniture and you want some really clever designed, hinged, slatted pull-out things,
You've got to value your time.
That's the thing, yeah. That's one thing that we can talk about for a long time, which is valuing your time when doing a build.
To me, only until I met Nick, that my time is worth something. I used to do a lot of stuff for free.
We're going to move on to questions that we've had, because we had quite a few come in this week. If you're watching it live, please drop in any questions you have about campervan layout. We will answer them.
Electric, mechanical, material selection, interior design.
We will answer them live.
I'm here. I love to give my opinion.
First question was...
I love the sound of my own voice.
First question was, where do you poop?
I love nature poos. I think it's good, and I might be wrong on this, but it's giving nutrients back to the ground. I've taken nutrients out of the world, give it back, especially if you poop near a tree. I'm sure the root does something.
I don't like nature pooping. I like to poop in a composting toilet. Enough said.
Well, okay, yeah.
So for me, going into our next van, having a toilet space is going to be a priority, because I don't want to poop outdoors anymore, or have to drive to a service station to find a toilet after I've had my morning coffee.
But then you have to deal with the poo.
Yeah. That's fine. We'll figure that out. Next question is, what's the one thing that everyone forgets? This is your pet peeve.
Bin. Everyone forgets to put a bit. Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I've always forgotten to put a bin in, and it's taken me seven vans to figure out I need a bin. It's never been last minute. It's been planned from the very beginning. There is not a lot of space in a van. And when you're either cooking or if you go on a quick holiday, you have a lot of packaging. The rubbish builds up very quickly, and there's nowhere to put it.
And there's nothing worse than having a really beautifully, gorgeously designed camper van and then not having a bin, so having a plastic bag stuck on the handle.
On the side. It takes up a lot of space, but in the long run, it's nice. You haven't got something rotting next to you, and you're not having to make constant trips to the outside bins. Yeah.
So bin is what's usually gets to get on. Question from Homes by Holloway on Instagram. DIY interior or leave it to the professionals? Now, this person's got a VW bay window, so there's quite an old...
It's a classic.
It's
vehicle. A classic vehicle. Controversial. For me, if I ever had a classic vehicle, I wouldn't screw into the bodywork at all. Because this thing's going to be mint, and one day someone might not want it in there, and these things will hold their value if you keep looking after them. If I were to ever build into a classic vehicle, I would do it in a way where I haven't screwed into the bodywork. It'll be sort of it'll be self-structured, and then sort of maybe stuck to the walls with self-adhesive tape or something where I don't need the chassis to support the wooden structure on the inside. And then if I ever do change my mind, it can all be gone. The car then still maintains its value. I said it because if you buy a classic vehicle and it's got a ton of these self-drilled holes all over on the inside, it's I don't think rust is a huge issue because it's on the interior, but I just imagine it would just be so much value.
Really, it goes down to your personal level of skill. If you're happy to build something with that in mind, do it yourself. If not, go to a professional one, but specify that you don't want.
But that will be money. If you're asking a professional to do a classic
you're asking for a high.
There's going to be a premium put onto that.
Next question from Mishi, barefoot hippie, our girl. She said, so she's got a medium-sized van. I can't remember what it is exactly, but she's looking at buying a large van. And she says she wants to change her bed to a slide from a rock and roll bed, asking for any recommendations. So I would recommend Contour Campers for those packs of furniture that they do. They're really reasonably priced. They ship them out to you, and they're really great quality. Rock and roll beds, I just think they're one of the worst inventions ever because I get it. They're a really clever system that they can be seats and they can be.
They're good for the transport. They're good for the transporters and the Vitos where you can't actually stand up, everything's seated, because then you're immediately turning a seat into a bed. But
even the storage underneath them is usually quite compromised.
Yeah, there's a lot of structure under. There's a lot of metal, and they weigh a ton. I don't know if you've had to lug roll up the stairs. I have. Your brothers.
Yeah, I had to as well.
Oh yeah, you were there as well. A lot of weight. There's a lot of metal. And I have seen people build their own out of wood, which is actually fine.
Yeah.
Probably saves a bit of weight and a lot of money because they go for a few hundred.
But I wouldn't trust that in terms of your manufacturing if there were to be a crash.
MOT, you need to be MOT standard. But if you put them facing backwards, they don't have to be MOT'd. So that one, you can have that one for free.
If you do have any more questions watching live, we're just about to wrap up, so please drop them in the comments and we will answer them for you. Got another question from the fabulous organizer from Instagram saying, indoor versus outdoor shower. Have you ever had an indoor shower in your vans?
No, never. Oh no, my little caravan. My little Thomas caravan. But that was possibly a 5-foot high shower. It was above the wheel arch. So
this guy's 6'3", by the way, for context.
So I had to sort of crouch like Gollum over the rock with the ring and like with the little shower head, little tiny shower curtain, where like shower curtain would just like stick to you immediately. Like,
So
that was my only attempt at a shower. I was like, this is a terrible idea, and then never had a shower in a van ever again.
So we always go for outdoor showers because it's a very good way to have a very safe shower with a LPG heater. Now we want to move to having a shower indoors now instead, and we've seen an incredible design. Someone on Untitled Chapter. So you want to just talk through that?
What was that again?
The one with the sliding wall. So this is what we're going to try and replicate in our van Cami.
We should link that as well because that's a rare gem. It's essentially he's waterproofed one wall, shower tray at the bottom, and then a curtain across the back. The curtain's attached to a sliding wall. So when the sliding wall comes in, the curtain obviously retracts, and there's a seat over the shower. So there's a section of wall that moves like this.
It's so clever.
And it's perfect. It's you're turning that dead space, which is the shower area, into social space. Like immediately, just with a bit of wood, you change it from dead space to a sitting space, and obviously the sitting space still exists elsewhere. Really good. I don't know who that guy was, but yeah, he's struck gold.
We messaged him.
He's struck absolute gold.
Question from Blind Putrefaction. Sorry, I forgot your name wrong. What's your opinion on pull-out loo cassettes?
I mean, if I don't see the poo and you can press a button where you can click, I've seen people do it and it doesn't seem that bad.
I just think the idea is, and I believe you have to use chemicals in them. So we want to try and go down the route of trying to put less chemicals into our waste. So that's why we want to go down the composting route. It's
obviously a lot more cleaner because it's all using these proper sills and you never actually see the waste. But we don't want to use chemicals. We try and use least chemicals as possible because it is just sort of wasteful, I guess.
But if you're incredibly squeamish, you don't like it, I can see why you would use
or a compost one. There we go.
Yeah, compost one. Weird thought to be eating a dinner whilst on the loo. I mean, it's efficient.
Yeah, it is.
So the idea is the toilet and the shower thing. So basically, if you've cut open the side of the van and you're looking at the side of the van, basically one of these walls slides in and out. So you can even build a seat around it so that the seat that you're sitting on will retract and sit over the toilet. That's what we're going to try and do. Yeah, so the
update was hiding under a seat. A lot of people do that, and actually do. My brother put it on not a nice runners, but his only standing space was the kitchen. So you're, in terms of hygiene, you are sat in the middle of your kitchen going to the toilet, but realistically,
if I want to go for a wee or a poo, I don't want to be able to make eye contact with Matt at all. Some couples are okay with that, or if you're living on your own in a van or whatever. But for me, I just want there to be even if it's just a really thin curtain shower, I want there to be that privacy.
There is a lot of designs out there with curtains, and curtains are a great way just to create a divide in a van. Like, because it doesn't do anything for audio, but a curtain does. If you want a bit of privacy as well. This is in the sense if you're on your own in the van, then obviously you don't need it. But if you've got a partner and you just want to keep that sort of privacy, then absolutely. The composting toilets are, I think they're not built in, are they? It's all contained.
No, it's all contained. Usually, it's into a bag. There's so many different ones out there, and we're going to look for recommendations. Yeah. We know quite a few van lifers using them. So
the problem is with hiding the toilet. The toilet is obviously designed ergonomically at like 450 high to suit the legs and the sitting position. If you build a box around that, that's going to be slightly higher, and then you're going to probably put a cushion on top of that. Yeah. So the seat on top of your toilet is going to be way too high, and it's just not going to be comfortable to sit on. Unless
you were to put a ledge for your feet to rest on, then.
Yes, the ledge. That's the only sort of complication.
Like a false floor above that.
Yeah. It just destroys the ergonomics.
Oh, it's Esther, by the way.
Hi, Esther.
So that, I think, is all for this Campervan collective session. Next week, we're going to be talking about installation, hot topic, cold topic, whatever. And we're going to be busting some of the common myths about why vapor barriers. Do you need to sound deaden every inch of your van?
I've got a really good opinion, and I've actually there's a little build course on the way. Installation.
Build course.
Don't want to say it, but I've perfected the installation of the ceiling.
You said it.
I perfected it.
He actually has. Actually, going on to that, next year we're going to be launching the Campervan Build Club, which is a monthly subscription, and we are going to be delivering a whole suite of videos taking you through the whole process of building your van, so that you can be empowered to build the van yourself, and you don't have to go to a campervan builder and wait 3 months and pay an extortionate amount of money, but you can learn the skills and do it yourself.
And if you make it your campervan, it can be customized to you. Because it will never be a bad campervan either. It'll be your campervan.
And there will be live question and answer sessions with us, so you can get advice from us, build advice, design advice, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all coming. But thank you for tuning in. See you next week at 7 p.m. We will be there at 7 p.m. Apologies for the technical difficulties.
I plugged the wrong cable in.
Oh well.
My bad.
Thanks so much for joining, and see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.